Hi guys, this is Dr. TS, and today will be our fourth and final module for Unit 1, where we'll be talking about the unique properties of water. So water is a really cool life-giving substance and has a lot of really important properties that we need to understand moving forward. So today's first little lecture on in our Module 4 is going to be focused on 3 of the unique properties of water: adhesion, cohesion, and surface tension. So if we look at the anatomy of a water molecule, we can see a lot of what makes it special. So remember, water, or H2O, is 2 hydrogen ions bonded with oxygen. And this bond is occurring through a polar covalent bond. So they are sharing their electrons in an unequal manner. Remember, covalent bond means you are sharing electrons, and it's polar, meaning it's an unequal sharing. So in water, oxygen is getting more electrons, right? So it's getting more electrons. It's taking those electrons away from oxygen, or from hydrogen, so oxygen has a more negative charge, and hydrogens have more positive charges because they are losing those electrons. Because these hydrogen ions are now going to be more positively charged, they are going to repel each other. And this repelling of each other creates an exact bent formation of 104.5 degrees. So there's always a 104.5 degree angle between hydrogens. And again, this is because they both are slightly positively charged, and 2 like charges are going to repulse each other. Now, because hydrogens have a slight positive charge and the oxygens have a slight negative charge, when you put all of these molecules together, we get a hydrogen bond. And these hydrogen bonds are going to form between the hydrogen from one water molecule to the oxygen of another. Remember, we want a positive with a negative. This is going to form a hydrogen bond. So because of the bent nature, right? If I were to draw another one of these guys over here, so I have an oxygen, and then I have 2 hydrogens coming off. Okay, and the bond would occur here. Because of this 104.5 degree angle, water forms these really complex lattice-like structures, right? And we get all these water molecules together, forming hydrogen bonds with each other. And they form these really complex structures. And so the anatomy of this water molecule is going to allow it to have a bunch of unique properties. And these are the properties of water that we want you to be able to understand. So as we talk about these unique properties, so in today's lectures, you're going to hear about cohesion, high surface tension, and adhesion. Professor Pfannenstiel will talk about high specific heat and solid as liquid, and then I will talk about its role as a good solvent. But as we go through each property, you should be able to describe each property, explain the aspect of the water molecule that gives it a property, and give an example of the property. So how do we actually see this in the real world? So the first property I want to talk to you guys about today is cohesion. Water is cohesive. Cohesive means that it sticks to itself. So because water molecules are attracted to each other through hydrogen bonding, it keeps them all stuck together, right? We have the hydrogen bond. We should get used to drawing the hydrogen bond with each other. So 2 water molecules here, right? The hydrogens will bond to the oxygen of a different one. And because they all stick together, this gives water a cohesive property. So if you've ever dropped water onto a table, you will sometimes see it forms these really cool droplets of water where it's not really like all spread out. Instead, it has this surface tension to it. Like, for example, if you overfill a water cup, you'll see that a little bit of the water will kind of overflow before it fully falls down. And that's because water is sticking to itself. It's holding itself together. Additionally, water is adhesive. This means water is really good at sticking to other things. And this is due to the charged or polar nature of the water molecule. Remember, the oxygen is going to be slightly negatively charged, and the hydrogens will be slightly positively charged. And so this charged nature to a water molecule allows it to more easily stick to other things. So for example, if we look at this test tube full of water, you see that there is a slight dip in the top of the water. And that is because the water molecule is actually sticking to the sides of this glass, because the glass itself is also charged. And so these charged substances will stick to each other, allowing water to be adhesive. So cohesion and adhesion often work in tandem, right? If you were the water in this test tube is all sticking to each other, it's cohesion together, and it's also adhesive with the sides of the actual test tube. And I kind of have an image here that I really like, right? So the cohesion is water sticking to itself. Adhesion is it sticking to other charged objects. And this all also contributes to the idea that water has a high surface tension. So what is surface tension? Surface tension is defined as the amount of force needed to break through surface film of liquid. So if you poured yourself a Dr. Pepper, right, that Dr. Pepper is going to have a surface tension to it. Some things can easily break through that surface tension, some cannot. And because water not only sticks to itself so easily, right, but also to other charged molecules so easily, it has a high surface tension. So the capacity of a substance to withstand a rupture when placed under stress. So a really cool example of this are a type of bug called a water strider, which is a bug that can walk on water. The bug, its foot here, it's using adhesive forces, so the foot itself is slightly charged, and it's pushing down onto the water, so it's sticking to the water. And at the same time, the cohesive forces between the water molecule keep it from breaking. And that allows the water strider to walk on water. We can also see this within a drop of water on a leaf. Because the water molecules stick so well together due to their charged and hydrogen bonding nature, they can form droplets of water that are actually more difficult to break than other types of liquids. So this is just a very short, brief lecture on these first couple properties of water and how they all kind of are influenced by the idea that water is both charged and capable of forming hydrogen